Veterans, did you know the VA lists certain military occupations and conditions that you can claim due to those military occupations in their M21-1? In today's video, I'm going to share all this information with you. So if you served in the military and was assigned one of these military occupations, you'll know some of the things that you can claim due to that job. Make sure you stick around. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for the Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. Today's video. The VA has listed certain military occupations and some conditions that you can claim due to those military occupations. So I'm going to share some of that information with you, but I want to challenge you to go out to their website, the M21-1, to see if your military occupation is listed. But before we get into that, make sure you click the link in the description section and pick up my new book, The VA Compensation Blueprint. It's time to win. Now, in this book, I'm filing a claim, not an actual claim, but a John Doe claim. So I'm giving you an example of what I would do if I go through this process again, based off of the VA regulations. So you could follow along as you file your claim with me. So let's go ahead and get into today's video, slide number 1. Here in slide number 1, it is diving techniques and associated risks. Okay, so if you were a diver, mainly I would think the Navy, Coast Guard, they have several divers. Okay, so this is the M21-1, and it says diving techniques include the following. I'm not a diver. Let me know in the comment section if you are a diver. Okay, free breath hold, snorkeling, scuba. All right, so the different diving techniques. Now, let me know also if there is a specific diving technique that is not listed, okay? Because I would want to go do a M21-1 search on that as well. Now, you go down to the bottom. Now we're about to get into the meat and potatoes of this, okay? It says, under certain circumstances, any types of diving may result in one of the three, okay? Decompression, illness, all right? Now, if there are other conditions due to diving, let me know. I'm pretty sure there are, several, and I'm going to share some of those other ones as well. But as I go through this, if you don't see it, go out and do a search for a keyword search in the M21-1 for it and see if it comes up, okay? But if you were a diver or know somebody that was a diver and they are getting denied, they may want to come here and look at some of these conditions and say, hey, I have a diagnosis of this. I have a diagnosis of that. Let me go ahead and file that claim for it, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 2. Now, here in slide number 2, potential, okay? Potential long-term effects of diving. Keyword, people, potential, okay? So the body system, musculoskeletal, skin, ear, neurological, visual, respiratory, cardiovascular, psychiatric, okay? PTSD. Then you have eczema under skin. So again, people, I wasn't even actually searching for this. I just happened across this, okay? Now, when I rated, the only military occupational specialty that I saw veterans claim was drone operators. We're going to get into that here in a minute, okay? But I didn't see anything when I was rating for diving, meaning nobody filed a claim. So I'm pretty sure that MOS or their job specialty, let me know if you were in the Navy or Coast Guard, if there's a lot of divers in those two branches, okay? I'm pretty sure that there is, but I was in the Army, so I wouldn't know. Let's keep going. Slide number 3. Here in slide number 3, this reference tells the rater how to rate residuals of diving injuries, okay? So if you get service connected for any diving injuries and you see your rating code sheet is going to have this diagnostic code 5011. Decompression illness is used as it is the only diagnostic code specific to diving related residuals. Okay, so 5011 is the only diagnostic code that has its own diagnostic code for rating residuals. Now, look at the second piece I have highlighted in red. In service connecting any disability due to diving, use diagnostic code 5011 hyphenated with the appropriate code used for the disability evaluation. For example, eczema due to a diving injury would be rated as diagnostic code 5011-7806. 7806 is the diagnostic code for eczema. So looking at this, if I was looking at your rating code sheet, that would let me know, okay, let me go look at diagnostic code 5011. Oh, that's a diving related illness, decompression illness. And then I would find my way to the M21-1 here, and I would know, oh, okay, it's hyphenated. So if it was PTSD, it should be 5011-9411 because 9411 is the diagnostic code for PTSD, all right? So I want you to understand, one, why I'm showing you these references, any references in any of my videos, because when you become educated on this stuff, you know what the rater is supposed to do, because the reference is a guide that tells them what they need to do in certain situations, just not in this video here, but any video that I'm showing references, okay? This is how you hold them accountable. And here's a nugget. This is how you win your high-level review when they don't follow their own references, all right? But you wouldn't know that if you don't invest the time to get educated on this stuff. Slide number 4. Diagnostic code 5011, decompression illness. The VA has their definition of it, okay? Rate manifestations under appropriate diagnostic code within the affected body system, such as arthritis, musculoskeletal residuals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So again, they're telling the rater to do how to rate decompression illness. We just talked about it in slide number 3, okay? Again, people, it's important that you understand this stuff, okay? It may seem like a lot. Trust me. Take the time, especially if you're a diver, take the time, an hour, and go through this, and it'll start to click, all right? Let's keep going. Slide number 5. Now we're getting into drone aircraft crew member duties, establishing service connection for PTSD related to drone aircraft crew member duties, okay? So under this particular service connection for PTSD is warranted under 38 CFR 3.304 subpart F when the evidence shows that the veteran served as a drone aircraft crew member, has a medical diagnosis of PTSD, and, so you need all 3 of these, has received a medical link between PTSD and service as a drone aircraft crew member. Now, the reason why this is so important because they're not boots on ground. You don't have to have boots on ground to be service connected for PTSD or to have a stressor. Their stressor is in the air. Okay? Now, I want you to think about something else, like PACT Act, Gulf War, undiagnosed illness. When you look at some of those locations, guess what they're saying? Airspace over Turkey. And I don't know if it's Turkey, it may be another country, but airspace over Afghanistan or something like that. What's in the air, people? Drones. They fly in the air, right? Okay? So they are looking at their targets. They're shooting missiles, blowing up buildings, engaging individuals, enemy combatants in open fields. And they're viewing this stuff. So that is their stressor. They could be in a Connex out in Nellis, out in Vegas somewhere. But they're doing airstrikes in Afghanistan, maybe Syria somewhere. All right? So the drone aircraft crew members can file claims for PTSD. It still has to go through the process. So they're telling you you need a diagnosis. And how does the rater know you are a drone aircraft crew member? You're DD-214, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 6. Okay, this is the 38 CFR that I talked about in the previous slide. Direct service connection, wartime and peacetime, post-traumatic stress disorder. Requires medical evidence diagnosing the condition in accordance with 4.125, a link established by medical evidence between current symptoms and in-service stressor, and credible supporting evidence that the claimed in-service stressor occurred. All right, you're a drone aircraft operator. If you were, or a crew member, you want to come here and get some of this verbiage, and guess where you're going to put some of this verbiage? In your lay statement. Also, do not forget to get that confirmed diagnosis of PTSD on your DD-214, or maybe some type of service awards or AIT or wherever you train. It could have something about you being a drone aircraft crew member. Definitely on your DD-214, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 7. We're almost done with these slides, people. I know, I know it's rough. All right, so this is special operations. Definition of special operations. Here are a list, examples. See that says examples? So I'm pretty sure there are some other ones. Let's just say, okay, I never heard of U.S. Marine Corps Raiders, okay? I heard of, what is that, long range reconnaissance or something like that. But let me know if you were in a special operations group that is not listed, or maybe you know of one that's not on here, okay? When it says U.S. Air Force Special Tactics Squadrons, is that part of pararescue? Okay, I don't know that. I wasn't Air Force, I don't know. But these are some examples right here of special operations, okay? Slide number 8. Now, adjudicating claims related to special operation incidents. I rated a handful of these, and when I did, you have to pay close attention, because a lot of these operators, they don't have a lot in their records. But the ones I did rate, the ones that I did see, I would say 95 to 98%, they were all service connected for PTSD, okay? And that's not uncommon, especially in special operations, okay? So it states, follow the steps in the table below to obtain records and decide a claim when a veteran claims that an injury or disability occurred during special operations assignment. Now, a lot of these individuals who are injured got the Purple Heart, okay? So you got the Purple Heart from being wounded in combat, right? As a special operator. That's proof that you have that condition, even if you didn't go on sick call, or for some reason those the records are not updated, okay? Maybe they treated you in the field and that information didn't get back to your medical records. You can ask them to concede those conditions due to you being in special operations, okay? Step 1, generate and send a subsequent development letter to the veteran by selecting the Special Operations Unit Development Action. Allow 30 days for the response, then go to step 2. Did the veteran provide the information requested? So what I would do, and I wasn't in special operations, I'm not saying that. But if I was, or if you were a special operator, you want to make sure you give them unit, locations you serve, make sure the injuries, the diagnosis, anything about special operations, you want to make training, whatever it is, you want to submit that with your claim, because that's less development they have to do. Even if you get a request for them to send them certain information, send it in again, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 9. Now, this is part of slide number 8, the M21-1. I couldn't fit everything on here, but make sure you go out when I'm sharing these citations with you. I may not copy the entire citation, okay? So again, you want to make sure you go out and do your own development, research, okay? I'm just highlighting certain things and what you can do. You, the veteran, it's your responsibility to take the bull by the horns because this is your claim, okay? So here in step 4, did research result in credible supporting evidence the claim event occurred? If yes, go to step 6. If no, submit a research request to Veterans Benefit Administration records acquisition and research through VBMS, okay? Now, some I just saw, look down here at the bottom where it says important. For special operations involving U.S. Navy SEALs, the specific name of the SEAL team is required in the RAR research request. When a veteran was attached to a special operations unit, attached, support, okay? Provide RAR with the veteran's primary unit of assignment as well as special operations unit to which the veteran was attached. They're giving you the answers to the test, people. You should be submitting this information if you qualified along with your claim so they don't have to go out and do all this additional development. It takes time, all right? It bogs this claim down, but per the guidelines, it's needed. This development has to happen. So why not do the development for them when you know what they're going to ask you for, all right? So I don't think I ever did a video with 9 slides. I know it was around 7 or 8, but leave me a comment and put the fire emoji in there if you're still sticking around. Now, if I didn't go over your military occupation, go to the M21-1, do a keyword search. It could be there or it could not be there. You don't know unless you go and do the research, okay? So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.